The post-election picture of Polish politics is becoming increasingly interesting. Everything indicates that Prime Minister Donald Tusk, whose position is being undermined by successive politicians from the ruling camp, may be a victim of Rafał Trzaskowski's election defeat. Are we witnessing the beginning of the end of the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk? 3 days. That's how long it took Rafał Trzaskowski to speak publicly after losing the election. The power and energy that flows from Poles, but especially from the residents of Warsaw, because I am, after all, the president of Warsaw, motivates me to continue working hard. This power and energy may not be enough for Prime Minister Tusk, who has become a symbol of this electoral defeat. And although the would-be president argues, of course, I have confidence in the Prime Minister. We have been working together for many years. The mood in the coalition is not so rosy. The loudest criticism comes from the Polish People's Party, with Michał Kamiński leading the attack on Prime Minister Tusk. Who will believe today that a man who did not believe that Nawrocki would become the president and called him a pimp, did not believe that Trump would become president and called him a KGB agent, is capable of conducting effective Polish politics? When you watch Donald Trump's meeting with President Nawrocki, you and I will see a meeting between the Polish president and the American president, and Donald Tusk will see a meeting between a pimp and a KGB agent. I do not want a prime minister like that. Marek Sawicki, a veteran of Polish politics, strikes a similar tone. The senior marshal of the same from the PSL sees no future for Donald Tusk as head of government. It is high time to try a different prime minister, and it is not a matter of a vote of confidence, but a constructive vote of no confidence. And politicians should discuss this within the coalition on Tuesday, 15th of October. The current mood in the PSL is probably best reflected in this press conference. These are not happy faces. We did not manage to win these elections, but we believe that Rafał Trzaskowski still has his own perspective. Meanwhile, the other leg of the so-called third way, Polska 2050, now seems to be playing the role of opposition within the government. Its MPs have sent a letter to the Minister of Development regarding delays in the payment of funds for social housing. The most interesting thing is that Krzysztof Pasik from PSL, the closest ally of Polska 2050, is one of them. Why, despite enormous support for social housing, has not a single contract been signed in weeks, and the state subsidy fund stands at 0 zloty? Law and Justice's response to this political mess is to be a technical government whose main task will be to save the state finances. A government that, like the president, will be non-partisan, but that does not mean that, like the president, it will be so strongly supported by Law and Justice. The head of this government must be selected in talks with all those who would be willing to support such an idea. So far, there is no indication that the Law and Justice proposal will come into effect, as there is no political will in the current parliament. However, the very idea of a technical government has caused panic among some government politicians, as exemplified by Justice Minister Adam Bodnar. The idea of establishing a so-called technical government in Poland has one goal: to stop the process of holding Law and Justice politicians accountable for crimes committed during their 8 years in power. However, Prime Minister Donald Tusk's government continues to work and is not giving up on its goals. Prosecutorial proceedings are at an advanced stage, and with each passing month we will see their effects. This means that the authorities have completely failed to understand Sunday's defeat and will focus solely on political revenge. Former Polish President Lech Wałęsa strikes exactly the same tone. Since they have already threatened Tusk and all of us, we need to start cleaning up. I propose a list to be closed, starting with Kaczynski, Sienkiewicz and Macierewicz. The first three, so I'll do that again. Since they have already threatened Tusk and all of us, we need to start cleaning up. I propose a list be closed, starting with Kaczynski, Sienkiewicz and Macierewicz, the first three to be got shot off. But to prison, Mr. President? Of course. And while right-wing parties are trying to grow in strength with MP Sławomir Zawiszak, And while right-wing parties are trying to grow in strength, with MP Sławomir Zawiszak joining Grzegorz Braun's crown and former volleyball world champion Marcin Możdżonek joining the Confederation, the ruling coalition is undergoing a serious crisis. A symbol of the problems is the fact that, according to a survey by the OGB Institute, only 20% of Civic Coalition voters rate Donald Tusk's government very highly. Well, if the voters themselves are disappointed, what can we expect from the others?